Hey, welcome back to another training video. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be focusing on Conversational Cam Pro, specifically on a toolpath called Spiral Barley Twist. Now we're going to be answering two specific questions pertaining to this toolpath. The first is, what is this toolpath? Like, what does it do? Okay, how does the cutter actually go through the material, and what are the final results of this toolpath so we can help visualize what this is going to accomplish? The second question we're going to answer is, how do we program for it? So we're going to use two resources to help visualize this and connect all the dots. And the first is going to be our Vectric Aspire software, which is going to be using the 2D drawings to lay out the design. And then we'll do the final tool pathing and programming here in CCam Pro. The other resource will be towards the end of the video, where we're going to show the actual cutting results on the CNC machine, so you can see the actual toolpath taking place on the material, and again, help solidify what this process does. So let's jump over to our Aspire software. So here we've already created a spindle that has a square section, and in the middle here, all this is going to be round. For example, the surfacing cutter already has been programmed to turn starting from this point, and it's going to turn all the way down to getting to this point, turning that to a solid diameter of 2.5 inches like we've done in the other videos. To finish the other two details, these are the tool profiles. This is using this 2.5 inch Barley Twist cutter. And again, you can get this from Magnate, magnate.com. And this gives us, again, those details right there, 1 and 2. So both of those toolpaths, the turning around toolpath and the tool profile toolpaths, if you haven't seen those videos, I highly recommend it. They're going to be, again, really a necessity for getting into turning applications. Today we're going to be focusing on just the Barley Twist, so we're not going to show how to lay out the programming for those details that have already been done. So a Barley Twist, what does the cutter do to the material? Well, the cutter is going to do a very similar thing as the profile. It's going to start at a section diameter, okay, at a surface of a known diameter, in this case 2.5 inches, and it's going to plunge down until it gets to the depth of the cutter shape that we want to apply, and then it's going to travel that cutter down the length of the stock with that shape all the way down as the stock is rotating. Okay, and that will give us a spiral effect. Now I've drawn up a little simulation here so you can kind of see what's going on. It's not required to do this for programming, but it helps, again, visualize what's going to take place. If we were to slap that right in place, we can see that the cutter is going to have to travel down the length of the stock as it's continually rotating to give us that spiral twist effect. Now, the one thing I want to point out before we go and start programming this is what the toolpath does at the beginning and end of the twist itself. So the process, just like I explained, is going to come and it's going to plunge, but it's not going to be rotating while plunging like these tool profiles do. Okay, those tool profiles, the cutter, while it's plunging, the stock is rotating continually. That is not happening when the cutter is plunging into the stock for the Barley Twist effect, or for any of the Spiral Twist toolpaths. It's going to plunge while the stock is just stationary, and then it's going to start rotating as it's traveling down the length of the stock. When it gets to the end, it's not going to finish rotating to apply that toolpath to the end of the twist. It's just going to lift out of the material. Okay, so that means that it's going to have these just plunge marks and where it started and ended, and it's not going to be a smooth transition from a nice round section into a spiral section back to a round section. So that's why we implemented these tool profiles at the beginning and end of the twist, to give us this transitional effect. Here you can actually see a sample that I've cut that doesn't have these tool profiles on the end of the Barley Twist. And you can see, again, it's just not as clean as a transition as if we look at this blank that, again, does have these tool profiles creating the smooth transition from a round to a spiral back to a round section. Okay, so let's go back to our drawing board here, and we're going to now create the toolpaths here in CCam Pro. So we'll go here to CCam Pro, And we're going to go to the project that we've been using so far for these training videos, the training samples, and go to my workstation and the part that's already been created, and let's go manage our toolpaths. So again, the toolpaths for the turning round and the tool profiles have already been laid out and they've already been cut on the CNC machine. All we're focusing on today is just the barley twist factor. So if we go to our spiral toolpaths, and we have a few of them, the first one we're going to be focusing on today is the barley twist. So if we add this, it's going to add it to our toolpath list. We can close our toolpath manager, and there we have our toolpath that we can go now manage, or should we say program. So if we click in the barley twist and to go to this questionnaire process, let's start filling out this information and going back to our drawing board to get the information that we need. So the first thing is the tool that we're going to select. And so if we come over here, we're going to be matching the same diameter of cutter that was on the tool profiles. That barley twist, 2.5 inches is what I used on those tool profiles on either end. Now there's another reason why I'm using a 2.5 inch diameter cutter as well. Let me go back to our drawing board so you can see this. So what makes a traditional barley twist an actual barley twist is two things. Is first, the cutter is the same diameter. Okay, the width of the cutter, the diameter of the cutter, is the same diameter of the turned round stock that the twist is being placed onto. Okay, that's the first criteria that will make this an actual barley twist process. The second one is how many starts are in the actual spiral twist. And you can actually see back here, if we were to select this cutter real quick, the 2.5 inches, because that's the one we want to use. And we're going to make this tool number 2. So with that cutter selected, I'll just point out what I'm talking about on number of starts. So this field right here where it says number of starts is already defaulted to a 1 start twist. We can have multiple starts, and we'll show that ability in other videos where we can modify these other parameters. But this one's going to do a 1 start spiral twist. And so if we're matching the diameter of the cutter to the diameter of the stock with that 1 start spiral, it's going to program an actual barley twist effect is what we're looking for. So let's go back and program the actual sequence here. So we need to know the spiral start and end position. Okay, so let's go back to our drawing and we can move our tool out of the way and let's throw some dimensions out here. So X0 is still the left edge of our blank, so we'll click on X0 as a horizontal dimension. And then the center of the cutter where the spiral is going to be starting, and that's going to give us our first dimension, the starting position, and then from X0 to the center of the cutter at the end. And that's going to give us our ending position. So we have start and end. Let's go plug in those parameters, 5.25 and 12.75. So our start position is 5.25 and the ending position is 12.75. Again, the rest of these parameters are defaulted. We're just going to leave them as the default feeds and speeds and parameters. The only thing left over that we need to fill out is this last question, the section diameter. Now, I did mention this before, that this entire barley twist process is going to be applied to a diameter section that has already been turned around, and that is a vertical measurement in the diameter here of 2.5 inches. Okay, so that's the section diameter this twist is being applied to. So let's go back and apply the section diameter of 2.5 inches. And again, in a separate video, we'll show how to modify these other fields to create other types of details. But for now, we are done and we can push finish and save. Okay, now all we have to do is save out our G code. Now the other two toolpaths, again, have already been machined. And so I can uncheck the turning round and the tool profiles. We're just going to do the barley twist today on the existing spindle that's in the machine right now. So let's go generate the G code. And there it is. So we got the tool number 2 is our barley twist cutter. And that entire process is going to turn our entire barley twist. We can go save G code. We'll put this under our toolpaths, under Spiral Barley. And this isn't going to be a drawing file. This is going to be our G code file, Spiral Barley Twist, G code, and save. And now let's go to the machine and see what the cutting results are. So just like we programmed, the cutter starts at the starting position in this tool profile. plunges to the first depth and then travels down the stock while continually rotating the material. Now remember, we had also told it to do a single start, so the cutter is actually traveling the width of the cutter, which is 2.5 inches down the x-axis per one full rotation of the material. It will repeat this by plunging a little further and coming back. This barley twist process is going to take 4 cut depths in total to give us the final detail. The direction of the spiral was also determined in CAM Pro. The default direction that was there is a left spiral twist, and that's exactly what you see here. The material is actually rotating to the left when going away from the viewer. All the cutting advantages shown here are automatically included in CAM Pro Barley Twist Toolpath. Again, we can see how good the transitions look at the beginning and end of the spiral simply because we added those tool profiles before this barley twist process.
Now, these types of videos generate a lot of different questions. I recommend you take advantage of 2 resources to answer your questions. First is head on over to our website at legacywoodworking.com. There you'll find all the different product information, additional cutting demonstrations, and much more. The second resource I recommend doing is actually getting in contact with one of our CNC experts. You can call them at 801-491-0010. They will be happy to answer any of your questions, put on software or cutting demonstrations with the machines, and point you to additional resources, again, to fulfill your needs. Now, if you'd like to just simply watch more videos, I don't blame you. Just click right over there. I think we all know what to do. If you want to be notified of future videos, just click that button down below, and don't hesitate to give us a like if you liked what you saw. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, Legacy solves more woodworking problems and allows you to say yes to more opportunities than any other CNC manufacturer in the industry.